The surprising truth about why you never finish what you started. Welcome back to Echo English, a space where English learning meets deep life understanding. Today, we are not just talking about productivity or discipline, we are uncovering a hidden psychological pattern that silently controls your life. Think about all the things you once started with excitement: learning English, building a habit, starting a project, chasing a dream. In the beginning, everything felt alive, meaningful, and full of possibility. But somewhere along the way, that energy faded. You didn't officially quit, you just slowly disconnected. And this is where most people misunderstand themselves. They assume it's laziness, lack of talent, or lack of time. But the real truth is far more complex. And once you see it clearly, you may never look at your unfinished goals the same way again. Number one, it is not laziness, it is emotional resistance. What you call laziness is often a deeply rooted emotional resistance that your mind creates to protect you from discomfort. When you start something new, your brain is relaxed because there is no pressure at, only imagination. But as soon as reality begins, the emotional weight increases. You start facing confusion, mistakes, slow progress, and sometimes even embarrassment. These experiences trigger internal discomfort, and your brain interprets this discomfort as danger. It certainly pushes you to stop, not because the task is impossible, but because it wants to return to a state of emotional safety. This resistance is quiet but powerful. It doesn't scream quit, it whispers maybe later, I will do it tomorrow, or this isn't for me. And over time, these small emotional escapes turn into complete abandonment. So, the problem is not your ability, it is your relationship with discomfort. Number two, you are addicted to the beginning, not the journey. There is a hidden addiction that most people never recognize: the addiction to starting. When you begin something new, your brain releases a strong wave of excitement because it imagines the future reward without experiencing the present struggle. You feel productive, hopeful, and inspired, even if you haven't done any real work yet. This illusion of progress is incredibly satisfying, but as soon as the process demands consistency, effort, and patience, that emotional high disappears. Now, instead of excitement, you feel boredom and pressure, and your brain, craving that initial excitement again, pushes you towards something new. This is why you keep restarting your journey instead of continuing it. You are not failing because you lack discipline, you are stuck in a cycle where beginnings feel rewarding and continuation feels exhausting. Breaking this cycle requires you to stop chasing emotional highs and start respecting slow, steady progress. Number three, the hidden fear of completion. Completion sounds like success, but psychologically, it can feel like exposure. When something remains unfinished, it lives in a safe space of potential. You can always believe that it could have been great if you had finished it. But the moment you complete something, that potential becomes reality. And reality can be judged. People can see your work, evaluate it, criticize it, or even reject it. This creates a subtle fear inside you. So instead of risking that judgment, your mind chooses to stay in the comfort of incompletion. It protects your self image by never allowing your work to be fully tested. This fear is not always conscious, you may not even realize it is there, but it influences your behavior in powerful ways, causing you to stop just before the finish line In a strange way, not finishing feels safer than finishing imperfectly. Number 4, lack of clear identity, not lack of motivation. Motivation is temporary, but identity is permanent. When you don't have a clear sense of who you are becoming, your actions lose direction and stability. One day you feel committed, the next day you feel confused, and slowly your efforts become inconsistent. This inconsistency is not because you don't care, it is because your identity is not strong enough to guide your behavior. People who finish what they start don't depend on how they feel every day. They act based on who they believe they are. For example, a person who sees themselves as a disciplined learner will continue even when they feel tired or bored. But if your identity is uncertain, your actions will follow your emotions, and emotions are unpredictable. So, the real shift is not I need more motivation, but I need a stronger identity. When your identity becomes clear, your actions become automatic. Number 5, you set goals but ignore systems. Goals give you direction, but systems give you movement. Most people are obsessed with big goals because they feel inspired and meaningful, but goals alone are not enough to carry you through daily struggle. Without a system, a clear, repeatable process, you are left depending on motivation every day. And motivation is unreliable. A system, on the other hand, removes decision making pressure. It tells you exactly what to do, even when you don't feel like doing it. For example, instead of saying, I will become fluent in English, a system would say, I will practice speaking for 20 minutes every day. No matter what, this simplicity creates consistency, and consistency creates results. When you ignore systems, your progress becomes random. But when you build systems, your progress becomes inevitable. Finishing something is not about how big your goal is, it is about how strong your daily structure is. Number 6, you overestimate motivation and underestimate discipline. Motivation is exciting, but it is not dependable. It comes and goes based on your mood, environment, and energy levels. In the beginning, motivation makes everything feel easy, but as soon as changes appear, motivation fades. And this is where most people stop. They expect motivation to carry them all the way, but that's not how growth works. Discipline is what continues when motivation disappears. Discipline is not about feeling inspired, it is about taking action despite not feeling inspired. And this is uncomfortable. That is why many people avoid building it, but without discipline, every goal remains unfinished. You cannot rely on a temporary emotion to achieve a long term result. You need a stable system of action that works even on your worst days. When you shift your focus from feeling motivated to acting consistently, everything begins to change. Number 7, you don't track progress, so you feel stuck. Human beings are deeply influenced by visible progress. When you can see improvement, you feel encouraged. When you cannot, you feel stuck, even if you are actually improving. This is one of the most dangerous psychological traps. Progress in most skills is slow and invisible in the beginning. You may be improving silently every day, but because the change is not dramatic, your brain assumes nothing is happening. This creates frustration and doubt. You start questioning your efforts, your ability, and even your goal. Eventually, this emotional exhaustion leads you to stop. But the truth is, growth is happening silently. Without tracking your progress through writing, recording, or reflecting, you lose the ability to recognize it. And When progress feels invisible, quitting feels logical. So, the solution is simple but powerful. Make your progress visible no matter how small it is. Number 8, the real solution: finish small, then grow big. If you truly want to change this pattern, you need to retrain your brain, not with big achievements but with small completions. Right now, your brain is used to starting and stopping. It has built a habit of incompletion. To break this, you must create a new habit: finishing. Start with something small, something so simple that you cannot avoid completing it, and then finish it completely. This may seem insignificant, but psychologically it is powerful. Every time you finish something, your brain builds trust in your ability. That trust becomes confidence, and confidence fuels consistency. Over time, these small completions accumulate and transform your identity. You stop being someone who tries and becoming someone who finishes. And once that identity is formed, bigger goals no longer feel overwhelming, they feel natural. So, the next time you find yourself walking away from something you once cared about, don't just blame your lack of discipline. Look deeper, ask yourself what you are really avoiding: discomfort, judgment, boredom, or the responsibility of becoming someone new. Because the truth is, finishing is not just about completing a task, it is about facing yourself honestly. And here is a question for you: if you had quietly finished everything you once started without seeking validation or perfection, what kind of person would you be today? Subscribe to Echo English and let's not just learn words, let's understand ourselves.